are millions of athletes on Earth, only one has ever been called the Greek Freak. And if there has ever been an NBA superstar who feels like he belongs on Mount Olympus, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Because long before he became an NBA champion, long before the MVP awards, long before he became one of the most unstoppable players basketball has ever seen, Giannis was already living a story that felt almost mythical. Not because he was born stronger than everyone else, but because every year he transformed into someone completely different, bigger, faster, and stronger, as if he wasn't simply improving, but evolving. And that's exactly why Mount Olympus becomes such a fascinating challenge, because according to Greek mythology, Olympus wasn't built for ordinary men. It was reserved for beings whose strength, discipline, and legacy separated them from everyone else. The gods didn't simply inherit greatness, they proved they deserved it. But here's where everything changes. Being called the Greek Freak doesn't make Giannis worthy of Olympus. If anything, it makes the challenge even harder, because the mountain doesn't care about nicknames. It only recognizes those capable of becoming legends. So to find out whether Giannis could truly stand among the gods, we need to break this down into 3 parts. First, why Giannis already shares more with Greek mythology than most people realize. Second, why Mount Olympus is far more dangerous than the stories ever tell you. And finally, whether the very qualities that turned Giannis into the Greek Freak could actually earn him a place among immortals. So first, why does Giannis feel different? Because unlike almost every superstar in NBA history, his story doesn't begin with greatness. It begins with survival. Long before sold-out arenas, Giannis spent his childhood helping his family sell products on the streets of Athens. Some days, basketball wasn't even the priority. Making it through tomorrow was. His family struggled to put food on the table. Every opportunity mattered. Every dollar mattered. Every single day demanded sacrifice. Most future superstars spend their childhood dreaming about championships. Giannis first had to learn how to survive. And that's something almost every mythological hero has in common. None of them begin as legends. They earn that title through hardship, through failure, through impossible challenges. Giannis wasn't handed greatness. He built it, one day at a time. Then basketball entered his life. At first, nobody saw what was coming. He was skinny, raw, unknown. But underneath that frame was something impossible to teach, an obsession with becoming better. Every offseason, his body changed. Every season, he became stronger, faster, more explosive. Players usually reached their peak. Giannis looked like he was creating a new one. Eventually, the impossible stopped surprising people. 3 dribbles from half court, finishing through 3 defenders, blocking shots nobody else could reach. Every year, the limits moved, and then they disappeared. But physical dominance isn't what makes Olympus interesting, because Greek mythology is filled with warriors stronger than ordinary men. Strength alone was never enough. The gods demanded something greater: character, sacrifice, resilience, the ability to endure trials that would break everyone else. And strangely, that's exactly where Giannis' story becomes even more compelling, because every obstacle that should have stopped him only seemed to make him stronger. Every setback, every criticism, every doubt became another reason to improve. Eventually, people stopped asking whether Giannis belonged among basketball's elite. They started wondering if anyone could actually stop him. The Greek Freak no longer felt like a nickname. It felt inevitable. Which brings us to the real question. If Giannis could conquer everything the basketball world placed in front of him, would that be enough for Mount Olympus? Or is becoming a legend on Earth still nowhere close to becoming worthy of the gods? Mount Olympus isn't just a mountain, it's a test. A place where strength alone has never been enough. According to Greek mythology, every hero who dreamed of standing among the gods faced something far more dangerous than monsters. They faced themselves, because Olympus exposes every weakness: pride, fear, impatience. One mistake, and even the strongest warriors fall. That's what makes this challenge so different. Giannis isn't trying to survive the mountain. He's trying to prove he belongs on it. But that's exactly where almost everyone would fail. Most people think becoming a god is about power. It isn't. It's about endurance. The heroes remembered throughout history weren't always the strongest. They were the ones willing to suffer longer than everyone else. And if there's one thing Giannis has proven throughout his career, it's that he never stops moving forward. Every season brought a new obstacle. Too skinny, couldn't shoot, couldn't lead a championship team, couldn't win in the playoffs. Year after year, people found another reason to doubt him. Year after year, he answered every single one, not with words, with improvement, Because Giannis has never treated criticism like an attack. He treats it like fuel. Every weakness becomes another off-season, another workout, another reason to become better. That's an incredibly rare mindset, and it's exactly the kind of mentality Olympus rewards. Because the mountain doesn't care how naturally gifted you are. It only cares whether you continue climbing after everyone else quits. But Olympus has one challenge basketball could never prepare him for: temptation. Greek mythology is filled with heroes who possessed unbelievable strength, yet many of them still failed. Not because they were weak, because they let arrogance replace discipline. They believed they had already earned immortality. The gods punished that every single time. That's where Giannis becomes fascinating. Despite becoming one of the biggest superstars in the world, his mentality barely changed. He still talks about getting better, still plays with urgency, still acts like he has something left to prove for someone with his accomplishments. That's unusual, because success normally creates comfort. Giannis never became comfortable. He stayed hungry. The same hunger that once helped his family survive never disappeared. It simply found a bigger purpose. And that's something very few mythical heroes ever managed to do: remain humble after becoming legendary. Which raises one final question. If Olympus truly judges character, not just power, could Giannis actually earn a place among the gods? The answer might surprise you, because becoming worthy of Olympus doesn't mean becoming perfect. It means proving that every trial made you stronger than the person you were before. That's been Giannis' entire career. Every setback, every injury, every criticism, every impossible expectation only created another version of Giannis that was harder to stop. He didn't become the Greek freak overnight. He built him piece by piece, season by season, failure by failure, until one day, the impossible became normal. And that's why Mount Olympus feels less like a fantasy and more like destiny. Because if the gods were searching for someone who represents perseverance, discipline, humility, and relentless self-improvement, they wouldn't find that person sitting on a throne. They'd find him in an empty gym, working long after everyone else had gone home. Maybe Giannis wouldn't become a god because of how high he could jump, or how fast he could run, or how many defenders he could overpower. Maybe he'd earn that place. Because no matter how difficult the climb became, he never stopped climbing. And perhaps that's what Mount Olympus has been waiting for all along.